And welcome to another episode of Day Out with a Star. The mission of our Day Out with a Star platform, as you all know, is to celebrate and share the life stories of real and amazing grassroots professionals working to shape innovative ideas to change the world. Today, let me welcome Nate Van Billen, our next Green Star. Nate, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Uh, Great. NIT is currently focusing on the development of innovative financing strategies for the transition to a low carbon economy at the Climate Solutions Group. And he's also the alumni from the Masters in Sustainability Management program of University of Toronto. Nate, before I start, it's my favorite question that I ask everyone. Who is Nate?
So I'm Nate Van Bylen. I live in Toronto.
Uh-huh.
Um, I work at a company called Climate Solutions Group, and I'm involved in a few other potential ventures that have a focus on uh, sustainability and the green economy.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want me to talk about my background
Yes,
and
exactly. Tell me more about your family background, where you come from, and what motivated you to get into the environment and sustainability sector.
for sure. So as a kid, I spent a lot of time outside. My parents
Hmm.
always encouraged me to um, explore the forest and spend time outside and uh, try to minimize the time I spend in front of screens.
Hmm.
So I spent a lot of time camping, going to my grandparents' cottage up north, and
Hmm.
exploring forests and nature and swimming in lakes and stuff. Uh,
Right.
So I've always sort of grew up with an appreciation for nature, and then in my undergrad, I kind of got into gardening actually,
Hmm. Oh, wow.
vegetables, and my parents had a decently sized backyard, so I thought a better use of that backyard than growing grass would be to grow vegetables, and it'd be a sustainable way to use that area.
Right.
And so I learned about the balance between uh, growing your own vegetables and the soil ecosystems and composting and what's needed to have a healthy, balanced
Hmm.
garden. Um, so that was sort of a uh, more hands-on learning experience and taught me the appreciation of nature and how interconnected everything is.
Right.
And so, yeah, so then I finished my undergrad and spent some time in British Columbia on the west coast of Canada and
Hmm.
worked on some organic farms and also spent some time with some indigenous groups and learned about having a different perspective of the earth and just becoming hyper aware of how we are very dependent on the earth and we are of the earth. So if the earth isn't healthy, then we aren't healthy. So
Yes.
that
It's
I
completely
guess that
true.
whole process really inspired me to pursue more education uh, and apply for the master's program at U of T.
Yes, certainly. And I want to talk more about it. Why did you select this program as compared to other sustainability program?
Um, Part of the reason was that it was in Toronto. So
Hmm.
just logistically, that was part of it.
Hmm.
But also, I liked um, the values behind the program and the fact that it was very focused on um, integrating the values of sustainability into the education and the importance of having um, of, of broadening your perspective to
Hmm.
encompass different stakeholder viewpoints, and that in order to inspire change, you have to uh, put forward solutions that work for everybody.
Right.
Um, and So that means working for um, as a business, helping
Mm-hmm.
for the triple bottom line, and
Right.
is the um, also the triple P, three P is the people, planet, profit. So
Exactly.
that's the that was the basic overarching reasons why I chose the program, and the fact that it had a internship component. Uh,
Right.
you get the hands-on learning through that, and
Mm-hmm.
um, is a great way to learn and apply what you've learned through the program. So,
Yeah. Tell me, can you tell me like two or three unique features of the program?
yeah, so the part of the program was a unique feature. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that was a 4 month internship
Right.
between the in the summer between the 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and
Where did you go for that internship?
so I worked at a communications firm that had a specialization in sustainability reporting. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, we helped companies develop sustainability reports to communicate to their stakeholders what they were, um, how they were integrating sustainability into their business, which
Right.
standards they were following, which goals that they were setting to
Mm-hmm.
decrease emissions or decrease waste or different goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so my role there was to conduct research on best practices for sustainability reporting.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to learn about a lot of different businesses and how they are integrating sustainability into their long-term visions. And
Okay.
yeah,
No,
that
that's really amazing. And tell me, like, what other things that really made you think that this MScM program is like a great thing that you joined?
um, so another unique feature was the flexibility that we had in the program. We had a lot of autonomy. We could
Mm-hmm.
make our own decisions about what we wanted to study and what the different areas of interest were that we wanted to pursue.
Right.
It I really liked that about the program. We could decide to write papers on topics that fit within a very broad range. So
Right.
it we could kind of just focus on what we wanted to and specialize in areas, and
Mm-hmm.
that I think that was a great way to learn. You're
Mm-hmm.
not restricted to have to focus on a specific idea
Mm-hmm.
or concept. It was very up to you to what you wanted to learn, and the more you put into the program, the more you got out. So
No,
that,
that's great. Tell me more about the faculty that you encountered right there.
yeah, so the faculty was definitely on board with that concept. Very uh,
Mm-hmm.
broad um, paper requirements. It just had to fit into a broad category of law or environmental science or ecosystem science. The faculty was excellent. I can't say enough about how helpful they were in giving constructive feedback and helping us um, create projects and create papers that um, were meaningful and had the potential to create impacts outside of just the program itself. And
Right.
if we wanted to, we could really um, pursue projects and papers that had a um, scope beyond the program, and that's kind of what I tried to do as much as possible to write papers and reports that were useful to other stakeholders outside of the program, so that it wasn't just writing a paper for getting a degree; it was writing a paper for myself to learn the concept, but also to help somebody else that was interested in a particular issue for their organization or um, so yeah,
Yeah.
part of why that was a great learning experience for me was that we learned about the importance of networking and connecting with other people to um, learn and be exposed to different ideas. And networking became a big um,
Yes, exactly. So tell me, did it like motivate you in achieving your career goals?
definitely. So networking specifically, um, I'm kind of a quiet person. I'm a little bit reserved. So
Right.
going out to networking events or other events is
Uh-huh.
not my natural interest, I guess you could say.
Right.
But um, I guess the value of networking was
Hmm.
pushed a lot, so I challenged myself and put myself in uncomfortable situations to
Hmm.
uh, create a network and meet new people. And so I guess the motivating part of that was that when you challenge yourself and
Right.
you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, that's where you learn the most, and that's where you expand as a professional and learn how to deal with uncomfortable situations and just grow as an individual. And the program
Right.
great
Well,
for.
I completely get you on this. Uh, Tell me, like, did it equip you for your current role at Climate Solutions Group?
Yeah, absolutely. It was it was a program that created a high level of professionalism and um, the need to create high quality reports that looked professional but also were structured in a way that made sense.
Right.
Table of contents, knowing how to structure a report uh, that is up to a standard for a professional uh, firm to use when engaging with investors or um, engaging with potential clients.
Right.
And then, in addition to the presentability and that as a important skill set to have, was the importance of written communication and writing clearly.
Hmm.
Um, and that's an extremely important skill to communicate clearly, and it's something that um, I don't think you ever stop learning how to communicate. And the MScSM program was a great way to learn how to communicate both verbally and um, written.
Yeah. So
So
I think, and like you must be seeing that making all the presentations right now and marrying so many different behavioral aspects into creating a coherent business plan.
mhm, yeah,
What?
yeah,
Yeah.
and part of it as well in the MScSM program is that gave you the it taught you how to learn,
Hmm.
and it gave you an independence to figure things out on your own and um, ability to research and solve problems. And so that autonomy and ability to work without supervision, I think, is a quality that is very valuable in the workplace when you don't have to be micromanaged and told what to do
Right.
every hour of the day. When you can create value um, without being told how to create it, I think that's
Mhm.
a valuable skill set to have. And um,
What will you advise to students who are looking for master's program in sustainability?
um, I would say that um, if you wanna pursue a career in sustainability,
Hmm.
it's not really limited to sustainability as a field.
Right.
Sustainability is it's all about application. Uh,
Hmm.
it's a great idea on it by itself, but it
Right.
really needs to be applied to uh,
Hmm.
various fields.
Hmm.
It really can be applied anywhere. So
Hmm.
um, I guess one piece of specific advice would
Hmm.
be to um, listen more than you talk
Right.
um, when you're trying to promote sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people understand what sustainability is and they're sold on the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So if you listen to what people say and you listen to what their concerns are, you're
Mm-hmm.
able to understand their needs. And I guess if you learn where you can make an impact and be accepted from
Right.
listening, it's a lot easier to create change than trying to force it
Exactly.
through talking. So I guess the piece of advice is just to listen more than you talk.
No, I get you completely on that. And I saw your like profile, and you always want to ask the big questions.
Mhm.
So tell me, like, how will an expanding population with a growing appetite to thrive on a planet uh, that is losing its capacity to regenerate itself? How can we change that?
Um, so one of the concepts that I was very motivated by and interested in
Mm-hmm.
the sustainability program was the circular economy.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, the idea of the circular economy is to uh, view waste as a resource.
Right.
So you're really um, taking a problem and creating a solution out of the problem. So you're not really seeing
Mm-hmm.
uh, a situation as a problem. You're seeing it as an opportunity instead.
Right.
Um, so in terms of um, an expanding population with a growing appetite, I
Mm-hmm.
I think I think consumption is less of an issue
Mm-hmm.
um, if there's no waste. So
Right.
it's just about how we deal with our resources and um, optimizing how we use resources in a way that no waste is created and basing that on nature as well.
Right.
You think about an ecosystem, there's no such thing as waste. Everything is reused. And
Exactly.
um, so if we look at an example, even is carbon emissions. If
Mm-hmm.
you take carbon emissions and uh, you see carbon emissions as a resource rather than a waste stream,
Right.
then you can deal with that stream in a productive way instead of a way that's trying to minimize that stream.
No.
So an example of that is actually here in Ontario. There's a steel company that is taking the carbon emissions from the
Mm-hmm.
the smokestacks,
Okay.
they're pumping it into a algae pool,
Mm-hmm.
and they're growing algae to be used as a biofuel, and so that those carbon emissions are no longer a waste; they're a resource, and they're producing value from that waste.
Yeah, that's really innovative.
So yeah, it's not even about saving money from not
Mm-hmm.
creating waste. It's creating revenue streams from
Exactly.
what was considered a waste before now is a resource.
Certainly. No, I think that's really innovative, and that's the way we have to look at if we want to go towards uh, low carbon economy. But is it possible to move towards a low carbon economy?
Um, I think it's definitely a challenge, and
Uh-huh.
um, if you want to talk about the possibility, I think it's definitely a possibility. It's just about how
Mhm.
to overcome uh, the challenge. So
Right.
some of the literature that I've read on the amount of money it will take to transition to a low carbon economy,
Mm-hmm.
um, the estimates are about $90 trillion
Mm-hmm.
will take to transition to that point. And just
Right.
for perspective, $90 trillion is about the the GDP, so the gross domestic product of the United States,
Mm-hmm.
over 5 years. So that's
Right.
it's an incredible amount of money.
Yes.
Um, so I think I think looking at that $90 trillion as a cost and and an issue is not very motivating and
Mm-hmm.
very inspiring or interesting. It's kind of like, oh, we have this cost, we have to deal with it. But
Right.
if we perceive that cost as a investment rather than
Mm-hmm.
a cost to be paid,
Right.
then I think it um, becomes a lot easier to see that $90 million as an opportunity rather than a problem. And
Mm-hmm.
really, the only way that I see as viable
Mm-hmm.
to mobilize $90 trillion is through um, pricing mechanisms and markets.
Right.
So if you have a price on carbon and you have
Mm-hmm.
a carbon market so that um, you can trade carbon and you can allow money to flow to the lowest cost um, carbon reduction, emission
Right.
reduction um, projects,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to be able to uh, move that money and see results right away. And
Exactly.
as time goes forward and the carbon price goes up, more projects will be incentivized, uh, and there'll be a lot more ability to um, um, mobilize more and more money as those results come through.
Mm-hmm.
And the Paris Agreement is really what is the basis of that.
Mm-hmm.
2020, when the Paris Agreement comes into effect,
Right.
the basic idea is for there to be a global, interconnected market where um, international flows of money can go to emission reduction projects.
Mm-hmm.
Those will be tied to carbon reduction credits that can be transferred between countries so that each
Mm-hmm.
country can achieve their reduction targets in the most cost effective way.
Right. No, I think these are amazing concepts, and if we can pursue them, there's nothing like it. And for this, like, I know you have been involved with many organizations like Just Vertical and Ontario Circular Economy Lab. Tell me a little more about these organizations and how they are all working together to get this right.
So I'll talk about just vertical first. So
Mm-hmm.
my role there is more of an advisory role, and
Mm-hmm.
more of a role to gain access to capital for seed financing and just developing the startup business as it is. So
Right.
what Just Vertical is a urban hydroponic company that allows anybody to grow food in their own homes
Wow.
through a vertical hydroponic unit, and
Mm-hmm.
you can grow 16 plants in each unit, and
Mm-hmm.
it really makes an impact on your ability to produce your own food and
Right.
decrease your food waste because you're only picking the food that you need,
Mm-hmm.
uh, instead of going to the grocery store and buying a bag of lettuce and you don't eat it all, it goes to waste.
Right.
You pick a living plant, it'll grow back, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever you don't pick, it doesn't die because it keeps on.
Wow.
So there's food waste
Mm-hmm.
avoidance through that,
Mm-hmm.
and that has a impact on carbon emissions as well because
Mm-hmm.
creating food waste streams that would otherwise go into landfill or um, and then create methane emissions through landfills. There's cost savings because you're reducing food waste for one thing, and you're growing food yourself, which
Mm-hmm.
at least here in Canada, there are there are pretty high costs for certain types of herbs and vegetables, and
Right.
you can actually save money through these systems. And then, in addition to that, it creates an alternative to I guess, conventional agriculture that has impacts on water supply
Mm-hmm.
and uh, soil degradation and
Right.
um, like runoff from pesticide use and over fertilization, which creates
Mm-hmm.
um, issues for watersheds. And
Mm-hmm.
and then I guess a broader outcome of just vertical is that we are reconnecting people that live in urban areas with their food.
Right.
I think that kind of gives people a perspective of the growth process of food, and it helps you value um,
Mm-hmm.
food and life a little bit more because you see a plant growing from a plant this big to a plant where you're eating, and you recognize the amount of resources it takes and the time it takes to create the food that you eat.
Wow.
I think that's an important thing to, um,
Mhm.
yeah, just
No,
broaden.
I think like all the people who are watching here and who will watch this show is basically like environment sector is more now, I would say, uh, futuristic than any other sector in the world, right? Because we are thinking about new types of problems and the solutions to it, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's just so much. There's so much potential for innovation in the
Mm.
um, in the environmental sector and just how to integrate sustainability and
Mhm.
renewable energy and clean food and transportation into our existing infrastructure. There's just so much opportunity.
Exactly, and that's what like I always talk that people who come to me as like I'm also the founder of Indian Environment Network, and students come to me, and I say that don't go to safe areas like finance and IT sector. Come to environment sector.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much opportunity for um, anybody working in the environmental sector, and it's really because you can apply sustainability and environmental goals like energy efficiency to any sector.
Right, exactly.
If you learn the foundation of um,
Mhm.
environmental science, sustainability, energy efficiency, you can really apply that to any sector, and that's where the real value is, and the potential for making an impact, but also the potential for growing a business uh, and being a successful professional. So
No, and again, the thing is that in the environment sector, you need not only be like another employee, you can be an entrepreneur, right?
yeah, you can be an entrepreneur and start your own
Right.
business, or you can be an intrapreneur with an I,
Yes.
and you can come up with improving solutions in your own in your the company that you work for.
Right.
If you create value there, and I mean, it's just I think there's a little bit of a shortage of how to think about sustainability and um, the perspective that you need to incorporate
Hmm.
considerations into a business. And so there's so much potential for professionals that go into sustainability to apply what they know to any business and create value through cost savings,
Right.
new product lines, developing um, better stakeholder relations, setting targets.
Hmm. No, it's like an amazing journey that any professional can get into the environment and sustainability sector and can purely open their eyes to so many things that we have. Tell
Mhm.
me about you. Has this journey seeding your knowledge about sustainability uh, changed you as a person?
I think has it changed me as a person? I think it has because um, I think there's just been more um, a growth in my own perspective and my ability to incorporate different viewpoints and stakeholder viewpoints into how I think about things. And um, I think for me, the when I studied sustainability, it provided me with a bigger picture of where the world is headed, and
Hmm.
um, um,
But like,
it's
right, yeah. What is basically the path toward the success now? Uh,
the path to success for sustainability, or
yeah.
um, I think I think for me, I think I've focused on climate change as where I want to put my energy, because I see that as a um, an underlying issue that will affect a lot of the world, and
Hmm.
that's where I put my energy.
Right.
I see I see the success of um, sustainability and climate change as being dependent on uh, new and innovative ways to finance those types of solutions
Hmm.
to reduce emissions.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess the program at Toronto, it
Yes.
it it definitely gave me the tools that I needed to pursue uh, solutions in climate change and finance. And so,
No, I really think that programs like uh, University of Toronto's Masters of Science in Sustainability Management program really open your eyes, right, to so many things that is right in the society and that is wrong in the society, right?
mhm.
So, yeah, and that's what makes it interesting and makes your life interesting. So, like, in conclusion, when I talk about legacy, tell me, like, what is your legacy? What do you think you want to leave as a footprint for the future generation?
um, I think that's a tough question when thinking about legacy. It's
Right.
in terms of a footprint. I think uh, when we think about climate change and the environment, you want to minimize your footprint as much as possible.
Exactly.
Um, so that would be part of it. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but I think if I would to leave a legacy, it would be to uh, create a tool or a platform to fight climate change in a very effective way.
Right.
And I think I think more broadly, though, I think a legacy that's worth leaving behind just for anything
Hmm.
is to uh, show the value of seeing a problem as not a it's seeing a problem as a challenge or opportunity to make things better, rather than seeing a problem as something to avoid.
Right.
I think I think problems are something that should be inspiring rather than something
Hmm.
something that's daunting. And
Yes.
I think if that would be if promoting that idea would be a legacy, then I would be happy with that outcome.
No, it's really amazing thing that you are doing, and let me congratulate you for taking the right decision in life uh, and working for something that is really important for the future of the society. Uh, Thank you so much for coming to my show. And before I go, thank you also to our sponsors, uh, Master of Science in Sustainability Management program at University of Toronto, for connecting me with you so I could learn so much about you and about your work, and really feel rejuvenated. There are young people like you who want to do something great for the society.
Yeah, great to be on your show, and it was great to chat. And yeah, thinking about the questions that you asked of me were very mind expanding, and it helped me to again just think about um, why I do what I do, and the importance of being motivated by something bigger than yourself, and um, yeah, loving what you do.
No, exactly. And that's what keep us all live as a person and make you and all of us real stars. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.